Okay. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing great. So this, like I already mentioned, would be your one of the few final tasks for the month of December, drafting internship, and we would be talking about maintenance agreement between um, two two people who have been divorced, or two individuals who are in marriage who have been divorced. I just quickly share my screen. Is my screen visible? Right. Can someone please confirm if the screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
ma'am, it's visible.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. So, your task four of the drafting internship is that of maintenance agreement. So before delving into the task as a whole, I would just like to be discussing what a maintenance agreement is and the different scenarios. Now, while there is no specific document known as the maintenance agreement in Indian legal terminology, the concept is basically covered under the laws relating to alimony or spousal support. In India, the legal framework for maintenance between husband and wife is primarily governed by Section 125 of CRPC, the Hindu Marriage Act, the Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Divorce Act, and other personal laws applicable to different religious communities. Now, as now we can observe that section CRPC is, section 125 of CRPC is a universal section whereby, it is applicable on all, regardless of what religion or what state of society they belong to. But there are other personal laws, like for example, you have the Hindu Marriage Act, you have the Muslim Women Protection on Rights on Divorce Act, you have the Christian Marriage Act, etc. So these are specific laws made, personal laws basically, which have been codified from customs into laws. So those laws are applicable to people and individuals belonging to that particular section of society, or that particular religion, or that particular community of the society. Um, Moving on, Section 125 of CRPC. This section basically provides a legal remedy for individuals who are unable to maintain themselves, including wives. It's applicable to all religions, and the court can order husband to pay a monthly allowance to the wife for her maintenance. Now, Section 125 basically talks about maintenance of parents, spouse, as well as children. Now, we can interpret it to mean that, maintenance for the husband to pay to a wife. Now, we are not going to talk about, um, like obviously there are recent developments where even where if the wife was the breadwinner of the family and the husband was dependent on the wife, or the husband has a permanent disability and the wife is earning well for herself or is well to do, she can also pay maintenance to the husband. Now, that is something you need to keep in mind, but that is not something which is very evidently seen, although there are articles which talk about it. There are still not that many developments that we can, you know, talk about it freely because there is no legal backing to it. Section 125 basically says a man has to provide for his parents, for his wife, and for his children. So the court, the you basically apply for maintenance as an application under Section 125 of CRPC. Moving on, the Hindu Marriage Act under Section 34, either spouse can apply for maintenance during the pendency of divorce proceedings. Section 25, on the other hand, deals with permanent alimony and maintenance. Now, although Section 24 of the Hindu Marriage Act talks about any spouse, like either of the spouses can apply for maintenance. Usually, in most cases, you do not see the husband actually applying for maintenance because the Indian society is constructed in such a manner that they don't expect a woman to be paying for a man, and that a man should be the only one who pays for everything and anything. Um, it might not align with my moral values, but it is what it is. Section 24 states that any spouse can apply for maintenance. And Section 25, again, these are different kinds of maintenance, which is one is permanent alimony, which is like a one-time settlement. And maintenance is usually monthly. Like every month you pay a certain amount of money or you credit a certain amount of money to another individual's or your spouse's or your ex-wife's account. Then you have the Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Divorce Act, where this act basically applies to all divorced Muslim women. Now, it provides a reasonable and fair provision and maintenance to be made by the former husband. Um, now, I don't know much about the religion because I don't belong to it. But the as far as I know, as far as I have studied, the Muslim women can claim maintenance only until they are not wedded a second time, only until they're still after their divorce with the former husband, they're still single. They are still not married subsequently. On those, and there are specific other conditions that they shouldn't be pregnant. They should not. They should be following certain customs of the society. If they've done all of that, or if the person is or the woman is still following that until this day, the husband is entitled or is supposed to or is mandated to give them maintenance or alimony or support or any other term that you want to use. Now, maintenance provisions also exist in other personal laws. Like I told you, kind of every religion of the society has a different personal law applicable to them. But because there are not much on the Parsi Marriage Act and Divorce Act, not on the Christian Marriage Act, there are small articles, but there is not much information found on the internet as well as on the books about them. So if you really want me to delve into that, let me know. Um, After I finish all my slides, I would be going deep into, I will be giving you a little bit more information. But Hindu Marriage Act and Muslim Women's Protection of Rights on Divorce Act, these two are the most commonly seen communities, heard of communities in India, at least. Although there might be other communities existing, but these are usually the communities which are more in number in the majority. Moving on, there are two types of maintenance. One is permanent maintenance and one is interim maintenance. Permanent maintenance is awarded when a spouse is unable to maintain themselves adequately and it continues until death or remarriage. And interim maintenance is awarded during the pendency of legal proceedings and it aims to provide immediate financial support. Now, apart from this, there is there is alimony, wherein it's a one-time settlement. Permanent maintenance is again monthly. Interim maintenance is when the legal proceedings or when the application is still in court. The wife or one of the spouses apply for a application of interim maintenance, whereby if the court feels that it is needed, they accept that particular application and they award interim maintenance of a certain amount. Now, there are certain determining factors. Number one is financial capability. Now, if one of the spouses is unable to maintain themselves itself, you cannot expect them to be maintaining another individual. Although it is not very much seen, and it doesn't matter if you're financially capable or not. If the court awards you, or if you are unable to convince the court that you're not financially capable, then the court will award you with, the you will be the paying party basically. Now, standard of living, the lifestyle and standard of living enjoyed during marriage are often considered when determining the maintenance amount. Sorry. Now, if the standard of living was, let's say, um, very subpar, or they used to live, let's say, I'm just generalizing, this is just a it is not a statement. I'm just trying to give you an example to make you understand standard of living better. Standard of living, for example, if a person used to, or if the husband and wife together lived in a nice big bungalow, it was not very expensive, but it was not very cheap either. Now, after divorce, the wife can't demand for a luxurious apartment. That is what a standard of living is. So if you are, let's say, if I get 200 rupees pocket money, just because I leave the house does not mean I can expect 500, right? Just because I have grown older does not mean I can expect an extra amount that will remain the same unless there are certain mitigating or changing circumstances. Now, duration of marriage. Now, if the marriage has been very long, and if the wife, if the judge, at least in the Indian community, if um, it is felt by the judges or the or anyone who is trying the particular case that the wife cannot be remarried anymore. Like for example, she's reached an age where like just an example, don't um please don't take it in any offense. I'm just trying to explain it to you. Um, so basically, if a woman or if a man, men usually, again, just a note, this is something which happens, and I am sorry if it hurts your sentiments, but just trying to explain what um, I'm trying to mean, right? So, a man usually gets married even if he's like 40 or like, let's say 45 or 50. Even then, if a man really wants, he can get married. But on the same hand, on the other hand, if a woman reaches a certain age, I think I am not sure, but if she reaches a certain age where um, she's not for the Indian standards, for the Indian family standards, not appealing enough, then she cannot get married. So on that aspect, your maintenance amount is also increased. The maintenance amount awarded can be increased. Health and age. Now, health and age of both the spouses can impact the maintenance decision. Um, Moving on, while creating a maintenance agreement, these are something you need to be keeping in mind. Number one, mutual consent. Both parties must have the consent and must sign on the maintenance agreement. Now, while you're drafting the agreement, you need to clearly specify all the instructions and all the amounts and the frequency on when the payments have to be made. Next is legal assistance. Before finalizing any maintenance agreement, it is always better for both of the spouses to seek certain legal advice before they enter into an agreement, because that agreement, if registered, is binding, and there's nothing that either of them can do to go against it, or unless they have an order from the court that okay, this agreement is quashed from this particular day. Now, there are certain key components: amount and duration. Number one, termination conditions, method of payment, legal counsel, tax implications. Now, there are certain challenges and certain considerations. Number one, there must be court approval. Um, if the agreements are not in line with legal requirements or are unreasonable, they may face challenges during enforcement of the contract of the agreement. Now, if there are certain clauses which allow for modifications in case of significant change of circumstances. Now, in India, courts retain the authority to review and modify maintenance agreement to ensure that they align with the principles of justice and equity. Therefore, it is imperative to create agreements that are not only legally sound, but also considerate of the changing circumstances of the spouses. A maintenance agreement in India, while not a standalone document, is an understanding between spouses that aligns with the legal provisions for maintenance. It is essential for individuals to be aware of their rights and responsibilities under the relevant legal frameworks and to seek legal guidance to ensure that any agreement reached is fair, reasonable, and legally enforceable. Now, with that, we come to an end of our PPT. I would just be showing you your problem. I have drafted two problems. First, I don't think this would be what I would be asking you to do. Um, this would be your problem for drafting of your maintenance agreement. The background is Mr. Arjun Sharma and Ms. Naina Sharma have decided to separate after 10 years of marriage. They have two children aged 8 and 5. Arjun is an IT professional earning a monthly salary of 80,000 rupees, while Naina is a homemaker. Arjun has agreed to provide financial support to Naina for the well being of their children. Now, these are certain points you need to be keeping in mind while you're drafting your maintenance agreement. Um, okay, any doubts, any questions, any queries?
Ma'am, towards the end of the agreement, do we need to add a verification of sorts of the man's salary?
Yes, that is something you need to add. You also need to add witnesses.
Okay,
Witnesses,
okay.
two,
Witnesses
one,
need to be. Okay,
yeah, witnesses, one from the man's side, one from the woman's side.
okay, ma'am. Will you be providing a sample and the PPT?
Yes,
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
no problem. Any other doubts?